Did a ferocious predator really go extinct millions of years ago? What is really happening in the dark, briny depths? Is there an ancient giant lurking in the ocean? Today we test the believability of the Megalodon.
Welcome to Believing the Bizarre,
Where we dive into the unknown and the unusual
and tell you whether or not we find it believable.
This is particularly telling into diving in today. Do you see what we did there?
With the Megalodon.
With the Megalodon.
Get Jason Statham. And go attack this thing.
So it's Tuesday. Thank you for stopping in. Before we get started, I just want to thank our patrons, our new patrons, Monica and Hadley, who joined the Not tier.
The Not tier.
What's some special things about the Not tier, Tyler?
Well, it is the best tier, the biggest tier. You get everything underneath it. You also get our Not Deer pin,
which is only around for another month.
One more month. Once this month is gone, then it will be switching to a new pin design, which is already designed, prepped, and ready to go. But yeah, this one is extinct after this month. So if you want this unique pin, you got to join the Not tier.
Yes,
to get the Not Deer pin. And they're not all Not Deer themed. Last year was just our logo.
Just the logo.
And the next one, I'll give you a hint, it's a cryptid.
Yes,
again,
it is cryptid.
For next year, but it's not the Not Deer. And it'll make it much easier to say next year instead, because I keep getting Not Deer and Not Tier stuck in my head.
Yeah, I've got
but you also get a hoodie and a t-shirt.
I was about to say the hoodie is a special design. It's like pink teal color. It's really cool. It's a really cool design. You get that for 3 months. If you're in the Not Tier for 3 months, you get that after that time.
But there's also other Patreon content. Charlie, what can they expect this week?
So we got our mini encounter episode, which I did, which is, I'm not going to spoil what it is, but it was a lot of fun to talk about. And we've also got our mailbag Q&A. So if you're a patron, you get on there and you can ask us anything you've ever wanted to ask us. Personal, not personal, something about the show, something about how we feel about things. We'll talk candidly.
And I'll spoil it. It's about time travel. Charlie talked about time travelers, and it's worth listening to. It's gonna be exciting.
Wow!
Put it out there.
Okay,
put it out there.
All right, it's time travelers.
But we're talking about fish today, right?
We're talking about
fish,
the biggest fish,
not the big fish. Is that Ewan McGregor?
No, I think that's Tom Hanks, right?
Is it Tom Hanks?
Tom Hanks.
What am I thinking of?
What am I thinking of?
I'm thinking of Real Big Fish, maybe.
I'm thinking of Big Fish with Tom Hanks.
I believe you.
All right. Also want to thank everyone who commented happy birthday. I appreciate that a lot. It made my birthday. It was fantastic. And also, we really want to say that we're really, truly sorry to hear about the passing from Jerry from Hillbilly Horror Stories.
Yeah, I'm sure a lot of you guys listen to Hillbilly Horror Stories. They had us on our second year of podcasting.
Yeah.
We were lucky enough and very grateful to be on their show and chat with them. And they were both really awesome, Jerry and Tracy. So we're sending our sympathies out to them and their family.
So with that being said, let's move on to today's topic. So this is a TikTok conspiracy. Is the Megalodon still around?
Okay, for the uninitiated like myself, the Megalodon was around though, right?
It was.
Okay, so we're not dealing with a fictionalized cryptid or, something that people have theorized is true but wasn't true. Like, this is a real fish entity, whale, shark thing that did at one time roam the ocean.
It did. Yeah.
Okay.
One time it was. Well, if you think it still is, it might be.
Yeah. Well, you're halfway there then. It's like, we don't have to prove to you that this thing ever existed. It's just,
that's true.
Is it really good at hide and seek? Is it, sleeping? Is it dormant?
It's sleepy. So I know it's not July 7th, Shark Week, but I smell blood in this myth like a cubic square mile away, and I went into a feeding frenzy. I got really excited about this. So my sources today are forscubadivers.com, sci-fi.com, Irish Star, New York Post, express.co.uk, Watch Mojo, How Stuff Works, fishareas.noaa.gov, and then the Natural History Museum of the United Kingdom.
No TikTok?
I guess there's TikToks too. Yeah.
Let's make a website called 5 Scuba Divers. Just go one
like
step.
Like Five Guys?
No, just like one more.
Okay.
Further in depth.
It's like, it's not FOUR, it's like for them.
Oh.
I like the idea of 5 scuba divers like grilling into the ocean.
I can't light this thing.
I can't sell anything. It just doesn't work. But first, I want to set the scene. So imagine you've just booked yourself a beautiful 2-week-long cruise, and you're setting sail to bounce between the American South, the Bahamas, and the Caribbean islands. Day 5. You are all alone getting a late-night dinner outside of the dining hall, and you sit down at your oceanside table, and you look off. On the darkness of the sea and the light emanating from the ship, you see a large ripple next to the wake. It dawns on you how alone you actually are in the deep, dark ocean. You then see a giant fin pop up that could almost touch the first deck. Then you hear the siren signal, and you feel the shock of the ship being hit and vibrating, fluttering through the metal frame. This is your encounter with the Megalodon. Bum, bum.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now I'm thinking of like cruise ship security, and like I'm at like on an airplane with like, all right, the exits are to your left. The little, what are they called?
Life jackets.
Are underneath your bed in your room. And if you hear this siren, that's the Megalodon. Well, I'm just imagining like everyone's sleep. Like it's like when the camera pans down beneath the ship, it's like everyone's sleeping, partying, and then underneath there's just like these guys with like paint on their face, and they got like military, and they got
going
like
to war,
big cannons. Like nobody upstairs know that there's a Megalodon. They're just like, we're gonna take them out, boys.
You'd have to get ready for it. It's intense.
Are there sirens? They like, you've been on a cruise. This could have just been your story.
There were never sirens. There was like one like in the beginning, just like
iceberg siren.
Yep, in the Caribbean.
In the Caribbean, it's just water. It sneaks up on you.
It's like an alert siren that they do like before the start. But there's like you have to go to a certain spot. And they're like, in case there's a sinking or drowning or whatever, this is how you get to lifeboats.
Just make a single file line.
I kind of resign myself to the point, like, if anything did happen, like, I probably wouldn't make it to that room. And there's
gotta be some security, though. Like a pirate big pirate ship.
I don't know. I think they're too close to America.
Well, I probably feel like they're outnumbered.
Probably.
I feel like a cruise line, people could take one pirate ship.
I don't, the big staff, the big mast.
There'd be a lot of casualties.
Yeah, I think so. They just have swords. They didn't enter the modern era.
It's purely by volume. That's
it's a weird segue. But the first thing I want to talk about are some interesting shark facts about sharks. I've got 8.
Do you have the bull shark fact, Charlie?
No, I left that one out.
Okay.
What's the fact, Tyler?
Well, some can live in fresh water and salt water.
Wow.
So I've heard.
Wow, that's crazy. I didn't know that. The first fact is that sharks actually have no bones, and their skeleton is made completely of cartilage.
Yeah, I knew that one.
Yeah, so it's like the stuff in your nose and your ears. Stop saying the same thing as
your
me.
knees in between the little.
It depends who you are.
If you still have it, yeah.
2, sharks can see very well in the daylight, and they also can see very well in darkness. It's almost like night vision.
Okay, I mean, it's not a flex that they can see in the light, but the night thing's cool.
They can see well in the light as well.
Yeah.
Damn. The shark skin is the same texture as sandpaper.
Wow. Okay,
Yeah.
I didn't know that one.
When sharks get flipped over, they become immobile. They go to sleep. 5, sharks have been around for 455 million years. Trees first evolved 385 million years ago. So, longer than trees. Sharks are aged after they die, like trees, by counting the rings in their vertebrae. So you cut them open. You not cut them all the way open.
See how old you are. Oh, happy birthday.
The spot patterns on every whale shark is unique as a fingerprint in a human. And then last, most sharks have to keep swimming in order to keep the water over the gills to breathe. But some sharks have a special organ to pump the water over the gills so they can stop. Yeah. Those are some interesting shark facts. I thought that everyone can learn a little something about sharks today.
Yeah, so if you hate the episode, you left with something.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't believe any of you knew all 8 unless you're like some marine biologist person.
I don't think you did either. I didn't know all these.
There's at least 2 that I didn't know.
Which ones? I know the
sandpaper.
Yeah,
I don't think I knew that they had to keep swimming or they die.
A lot of them do. Yeah.
I'd be an entrepreneur. I'd be like, all right, for 5 shells, I'll push you all night and hire sharks to push the other sharks.
You gotta get them in an infinity pool.
Oh, does that change?
Well, it moves the water over them.
Okay.
You just sit there.
Or it's just like, if you bite onto this hook, then the boat will.
That sounds painful. I don't think this weighs in any factor I feel about sharks or the Megalodon. Just fun facts.
It'd be silly if any of those 8 facts made me believe it was or wasn't here anymore. but it's still fun to know.
They feel like sandpaper? I don't know.
I'm 100% believing it.
This next segment is sharks, modern sharks, and it shows how dangerous they actually are. So I've got 4 little stories from chronological order, 2006 to 2023. The first one is from Sarah Kate, and she was swimming near Brisbane, Australia, in water no higher than her waist, and she was attacked by not 1, 2, but 3 bull sharks, which tore off both her arms while being bitten in the legs and stomach. Her friends ignored her screams at first, thinking it was a joke, until they saw the blood in the water. And Wiley's death is just one of Queensland's 199 attacks since the 1700s. All right. So that was Sarah Kate. In 2011, what started as a romantic vacation quickly turned into tragedy. On his honeymoon off Ana Leazo Beach in Seychelles, Redmond was out snorkeling when he was set upon by a shark. A vacationer in a small boat was able to pull Redmond to shore, but the shark had already taken his arm and leg. Redmond bled to death on the beach while his wife of just 10 days watched. There had been a shark attack in the exact same location 2 weeks earlier, but the tourism chief had elected not to close the beaches and warn the public in order to keep the tourists around.
And the day before, she had him make a will.
And then she got the shark to read the will and was like, I see. And she's like, well, split it.
He's like, there's a specific shark clause in here. She's like, don't mind that.
Triple.
That sucks, man. Why are you bringing us down with these death stories?
Because these are brutal things that can do terrible things. I'm not saying they are all like that.
Well, also keep in mind, like, you found 4 stories over like 15 years. So
yes, that's true.
Like, while they are brutal, it's not like this is an everyday occurrence.
Yeah, I'm just saying that nature can be brutal.
Did you find anything in your research where they're like, they don't actually want to eat you, they think you're a seal because you're like on your board or something?
That is true, but I didn't look for that.
Okay.
So yes, but no.
So just try to swim not like a seal.
Do your best. They also don't like the taste of people. Like, as soon as they taste people, they're like, oh, this sucks.
Okay, so it's like if you buy a burger and it sucks, but you bought it. So like, yeah, that's why they go in for a second bite.
All in, yeah.
Because otherwise, it should just be a 1 bite. And also, what's wrong with us? Are we salty? Are we too wet, watery?
No, I don't know.
It's like when you bite into the like lettuce and it's just like water.
I think it's just like not the preferred food. Like if I was like looking for a burger, I wouldn't be super pumped about a taco. I'd still eat the taco. You know what I mean?
I know, they probably just like swimming, bite. They're like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Well, I already did it. And I told them I was getting food, so I got to bring it back.
Yeah. I was going to say, this mayor reminds me of the guy from Jaws, the mayor from Jaws.
Yeah.
Didn't close the beach. Should have closed the beach, right?
No, you don't want to scare people. Got to make that bread.
So in 2022, this is the most recent fatal shark encounter since 1963.
What do you mean by that?
There hadn't been one since 1963.
In this location, you mean?
Sydney, Australia.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was like, you just told me about a death like 2 seconds ago.
That was in Brisbane. A large fin shark surfaced near a diver in a matter of seconds. The water turns red, and the fight didn't last long, and the victim was dragged under the surface. The police reported recovering his remains. If someone had tried to rescue him immediately, the attack was so aggressive that his injuries would have been fatal. One witness was so scared by the experience that she swore she would never set foot in the ocean again. And the last one, from 2023, was Manuel Lopez. He was scuba diving off the coast of Mexico in Sonora. And this was an ordinary day for him because he was collecting mollusks to sell. And he had been warned of a great white shark nearby. But he jumped to the water on January 6, 2023. He never came out again. A 19-foot great white shark attacked him, tearing his head off in a matter of seconds, while local fishermen looked on in horror. And those are just some awe-inspiring attacks out of nature.
It's crazy to think like 19 feet is probably like that wall.
Yeah.
It's like millions of people go in the ocean every day, and everyone knows that a shark attack could happen, but it's so rare it probably won't happen to me.
Yes.
It's like the 5 people that probably went to prison for illegally downloading music.
It's like lightning.
You know?
It's like a lightning strike.
Yeah. Now, scuba diving, when they say there's a great white shark, it's a little bit like golfing during electric storm.
It's
like,
you're like, but let's put the balls out.
Yeah, but I mean, he probably had that thought where it's like, I need to do this for money, and people go swimming every day. It's probably not going to happen. Or I'll just punch him in the nose.
I'm sure that's exactly it. I think he was. By the time he saw the shark, it was too late.
Well, the speed and everything. Yeah, it's a scary thing. That's like anytime anyone goes in big water like that, and even not that, but like riptides, like. But I also understand not living your life in fear, because there's a lot of things we couldn't or wouldn't do if you were always worried about the worst thing that could happen.
Yeah, like if I was in Australia, I wouldn't go in the water. Did you know there's
go in the pools?
Exactly. Do you know there's a jellyfish that is so small that you cannot even see it? But if it stings you, you have the time it takes to smoke a cigarette and you will die. There is no antivenom.
Like a Hollywood dramatic scene cigarette, or like a real person on a smoke break?
Like a real person on a smoke break. So like,
I didn't know that.
10
You
minutes.
told me that. I've heard this exact story.
You know why? Because it freaks me out.
I know you don't like jellyfish.
I don't like jellyfish. Don't like them. I heard that at a very formative age. I was watching Discovery Channel as a toddler, as a young person, and it stuck with me. And that fact never left my mind.
Hey kids, check this out.
No, it was Discovery Channel. It was that deep, gruff, like movie voice. Like, you have only a couple minutes.
Go get one of your parents' cigarettes. Start smoking it. Let us know when you're done. In that time frame, you would have died from this jellyfish. And now you're addicted to cigarettes.
And you know what I did? I did that. Yeah.
I figured you would have.
Yeah. So now, sharks that are extinct, the Megalodon. Now, no sharks exist anymore that have evolved from the Megalodon. The closest living relative is the short fin mako shark. There's some debate that the great white shark may have come from Megalodon, but it's in debate because it appears that these sharks came from different genuses. They also point to a fact that the great white shark has shorter teeth that are thinner as opposed to the mako sharks. And that's what they're really basing this off of. There's no full skeleton of a Megalodon. And they've really just found fossils of the teeth and like jaws.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, not a full skeleton has been discovered.
But we know it existed.
Yes.
Okay.
I trust science with this. So what was Megalodon? It was alive 20 million years ago, and it roamed the ocean for approximately 13 million years. Now, it was not only the biggest shark ever, but it was also the biggest fish ever. Now, it grew between 15 and 18 meters, and that is 49 to 59 feet, which is, it's a big animal.
They should have called it the red zone shark, because that's like the 20 yards,
Yeah, they actually have a really good name for it, or Megalodon, I guess.
I'm a Browns fan, so we don't say the red zone that much. So it's kind of like the Megalodon.
Now, because of the size and serration of the teeth found from the Megalodon, they probably ate meat, such as whales, large fish, dolphins, and probably other sharks.
That's probably why no one reproduced with them. They're over around munching all their, the other sharks. That's why they didn't have babies, which is why they went extinct.
You have to be the same species.
Well, they probably ate them too.
You saying the cannibals?
Well, you said sharks. You just said sharks.
Yeah, like great whites were around.
They're not around. We can say whatever we want about them. They've been gone for 20 million. Who's going to fact check us on that?
Megalodon scientist.
Okay.
Excuse me.
Megalodon scientist. Get out of here.
Satchel whale bones have even been found with giant gash marks where the meg teeth would have cut serrated into it. Now, its mouth was so big and so large that could have swallowed two people side by side at once. That's wild. They had their mouth lined with 276 teeth at one time, and they also have had the strongest bite force ever recorded on planet Earth. Now, a great white shark's bite force is 18,260 newtons. The Meg was capable of forces between 108,514 newtons and 182,201 newtons.
I don't disagree that that's true. I just don't know how, with just teeth, like the fossils of a jaw, that we can make that statement. And I'm not saying it's not true. I'm not saying I don't believe it. People smarter than I have come to that conclusion. But for me, it's hard to fathom.
You know how? Because NASA has one and they tested
it. Space Megalodon. The Space Meg. Somebody took the jawbones. It was like, all right, just snap it shut. And they were like, hey, Tim and Jerry, go stand side by side. Like, yup, could swallow them whole.
Well, I have seen that picture where people hold hands, but like they go next to each other and like they're like inside the jaws. That's pretty crazy.
We might have made them choke a little bit, but we were probably getting lashed on the 500 million teeth.
Yeah, you're destroyed. Cut to ribbons. So the Meg actually did not look like a giant great white shark. It actually looked more like a mako or a blue shark. Now, this is a quote from the Natural History Museum. They said, quote, Megalodon likely had a much shorter nose or rostrum when compared to a great white or a flatter, almost squished jaw, like the blue shark. It also had extra long pectoral fins to support its weight and size. A lot of reconstructions have Megalodon looking like a bigger version of great white shark for a long period of time because people thought they were related. But now we know that this is not the case, and Megalodon is actually a different lineage of shark from Megalodon, which is the last member. So this is actually the closest thing to Megalodon we know of.
Okay, flat, like the flat looking,
like
sharks.
a mako. He looks surprised,
shocked to see.
He's like,
it's the wide eye look.
Huh?
It's the wide eye and the mouth open a little bit.
What am I doing?
What if the Megalodon was like a goldfish in like a 5-second memory span?
Huh?
He just keeps biting shit, just doesn't know what's going on.
He's covered in blood.
Where am I? Who am I?
Mom?
Who's mom?
Oh boy. So do you want to hear some of the evidence that the Megalodon is still around?
So evidence that the Megalodon is still around.
Yes.
What if I said no? Is this episode over?
That would be an interesting turn.
But you asked me, so I kind of have the power now.
I thought you'd be excited to hear this.
I am. I'm just saying you relinquished power to this episode.
I did give it to you.
It's not a Tyler episode. All right. How can I make this aliens?
So the Browns.
Yes, Charlie. I'd love to hear how this thing is still around.
So evidence that the Meg is still around, some of the most compelling evidence comes from a 2013 documentary from Discovery called Megalodon, The Shark Still Lives.
Oh, shut up, Meg.
So they caught an image of what seems to be a 70-foot shark in the water.
Which is bigger.
Yes.
No. 70 feet, so...
69 was the...
Yeah, so it's right around... It's at the higher end of the Meg scale.
Yeah, well, they said my dog's supposed to be 49 to 50 pounds, and he's full on 65. So sometimes that scale is adjustable.
Okay.
So from the same documentary in 2013, they showed a 2009 image of a blue whale that seemed to be entirely ripped in half with its intestines hanging out. It seemed like it was gotten hold of by this giant shark. Now, on the comment videos that this YouTube video had resurfaced from, some people said things that could track, like, quote, I'm pretty sure I read somewhere that this was a whale that got hit by a propeller on a cruise ship or maybe a cargo vessel. And or
back to the cruise ship. The cruise ship is out there. That's why I think there's a correlation between the increase in cruise ships and the decrease in megalodons. I think they're just going around slicing all these things in half.
Well, this is a whale. So
you feel that bump. I was just a whale.
And someone also said this is a whale that died and its guts exploded
from like gases.
I think that's what they meant. They didn't elaborate.
They might have just been being silly, but
I think they're just trying to disprove the megalodon. Which,
well, okay, it's a comment section. I won't be hard.
Yeah. And I also have 2 TikToks I want to show you. The first one is a comparison to a potential Meg that was caught by satellites, and it shows it compared to a school bus.
Of a speck. Yeah, well, an agent who was studying the swarm noticed something out in the water.
Okay, kind of a speck.
Yeah, well, at this resolution, it's a speck. When they zoomed in, though, they got this.
It's a little fuzzy, but I'd say that's a shark.
And not just any shark. If you look at this other satellite photo I brought, it was taken at the same resolution of a school bus yard in nearby Sao Paulo. Now, those are 40-foot buses, and when you compare them next to the first photo, I'd say that's a 70-foot shark.
So
that fuzzy thing there, it looks like a shark.
It wasn't that fuzzy.
No, it wasn't. Actually, it's pretty clear for a satellite.
Yeah, but it looked, I mean, comparatively, you can kind of see. Now, is it real? I don't know. That's kind of what we're talking about. But I think it's kind of interesting evidence.
That's kind of what we're talking about. Yeah, I don't know. I like the side by side. I don't know. Like I know the way they framed it, it's like it is an exact length of zooming in.
Yeah.
But I feel like perspective could be off a little bit. But either way, I mean, it did look like a big shark.
It did look like a big old shark. Also, it's doing kind of like a curve thing too, so it's like
It's twisting.
Yeah. And this next TikTok I want to show you is a clip from what people claim to be a 60-foot megalodon at the bottom of the Mariana Trench. You don't actually need noise for this, so. It's good waiting music.
So what are the comments on that video that would... Is there any... Let me rephrase. Are there any comments on the TikTok where somebody discredits that would be the Megalodon?
I didn't go through all the comments. A lot of people say yes, that it could be something called a Greenland shark. It's just kind of the angle.
Yeah, I mean, you can't tell the size. Obviously, it is a shark.
Yeah.
And Mariana's Trench is the lowest point that we know of ever.
Yes.
In the ocean. I didn't know we had a camera down there.
I don't know if we actually do.
Oh, you think the whole thing could be fake?
It could be somewhere else. It could be just, I mean, it could be a dark area. Like, we don't know if it's actually the Mariana Trench. There's no sign that says this is the Mariana Trench. I don't know. They claim that's what it is.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a shark.
Take all that with a big grain of salt. Take it.
I took it. It's
Big
gone.
on salt.
It's gone. I already feel bloated. all the water retention.
Happy Thanksgiving.
It's happening.
So the next thing I want to talk about this is from a clip from the Joe Rogan show where he interviews somebody that talked about Project Deep Dive about the Meg. So this guy worked on this project and he claimed to be on the project that was stationed 30,000 feet under the sea. Now, one day they see a blip and he states that they see something in the water that is over 200 feet long.
Okay. Now we're talking. I mean, that's like 65 yards, 63 yards.
That's right. So he reaches out to the partner, the other submarine in the area, and he says, "Do you see that?" And his partner says, "Yeah, I'm seeing this." So they start to ascend because this thing is too big. But they could only go so quick because of the decompression.
Mm-hmm.
And this creature is approaching and eventually swims over them. And they see it. It's a giant shark. It actually attacks the submarine. Now, the caveat about this story is that when I first saw it, I was like, there's no way this is real. It doesn't look real. The video is fake. It looks like AI video. Sounds like AI video. And at the end of the video, it says, this is fictional. So it's not real. It's not a real story. But it got me.
Okay.
But I included this because I think if you don't watch the whole thing, there's a very good real chance that you will walk away thinking that this is really a story that was on the Joe Rogan show.
You just said that. You just summarized social media in one story there. Well, okay, here's the thing. I didn't want to interrupt you. It was killing me that you were like, Joe Rogan interviewed some guy. And I'm like,
I looked for the name.
Just say his name. You know
There's
what I mean?
no
But I'm
name.
like, I'll mention it later. So the fact that there's no name, it makes sense.
Oh, yeah, there's so many red flags in the video.
It's a cool story.
It's a really cool story. But you have to get to the very end and it says, this is a made up story.
We should do something like that.
Just like do a fake
Do
story.
a big lie, but at the end say it's fake so that we can cover our butts and just see how much people actually...
Yeah.
So is it understood? Like, let's say there was like a 75, 80-foot shark.
Yeah.
And somebody saw it. Is it just like understood that it's a megalodon, or like
There's nothing in the ocean that is that. There's no shark in the ocean that big. So if you did see that, it would be that.
unless it's like an unknown species? But it's just like there's nothing known that's bigger.
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
There's been no fish ever found that big. So if you did see one, now the last piece of evidence for it possibly being in the ocean is very scientific.
Oh, better than the last story.
Yes. Now, it does make me, at the end of the story, makes me a little upset. I'll tell you why. So, scientists were doing scans.
This one's also fictional.
Scientists scanned what appeared to be a 50-foot shark with a deep sea camera scan. So, this is the scan.
Okay.
Yeah.
Shark, so you got my good side.
Blah, blah, blah.
And these will be on our social media. A lot of these images that he's showing me, you guys should be able to see on our Facebook or Instagram. Hopefully.
Now, at first, it was thought that the scan was the fabled Megalodon, but ultimately they concluded differently. One scientist said, "We waited for one of the rods to go off. However, much to our disappointment, the shape started to transition into a large school of Atlantic mackerel that hung around the boat for about 15 minutes, and then they swam away." So he's saying that shape turned into a bunch of different mackerel.
And we're still in the section of evidence supporting the Megalodon?
We are, because I think it's very interesting how they have the one picture of this, but they don't show the other picture. I think this might be a bit of a jump to, I'll give you that. But I think there is an idea that they have this picture. They're like, oh, that's really cool. But they were told that they can't show the other one, or they don't have the other one of the mackerel to show that it actually transitioned. So what I'm seeing, I'm just seeing the shark.
When did this happen? What year?
Oh, that's a good question.
The reason I ask is because if this was like 2 months ago, then yeah, maybe they're lying so they can track it and get better evidence and be famous for producing results. But if this was like 5 years ago, they would only benefit by acknowledging, like, I don't think a scientist would not want this to be revealed as the Megalodon. Like, the only way I would see them lying is if this is so recent that they're still tracking it to get better evidence. But if they're not,
I don't think that's the case. I don't think it is. So this is actually from 2022.
yeah, that's 3 years ago.
Yeah, time does fly.
No, I'm saying, like, so think of a roller coaster, and when you're like, all right, we're going to talk about evidence supporting that this might be real, and you had like two things, and I was like, all right, okay, and then the Joe Rogan thing happened, and that's when, like, at Cedar Point, you can see like Canada from the top of the top thrill, Millennium Falcon, top thrill drag which one is, and then this story came out, and I was,
I don't like that analogy. Listen, I'm just saying this is all the evidence. I'm presenting all the evidence.
So you're saying this supports evidence that it's real because you think they're lying about it?
Could. Yes.
Is that what you think?
I do. Yeah.
Okay.
I think it definitely could.
We'll get to that in discussion on why you think they're lying.
Okay. All right. Now, I have the scientific evidence of why Megalodon probably isn't real.
Okay. Now, if these stories start being like, well, I saw it, next story, then I'm going to be a little confused.
I would be too, yeah. So this is evidence that the Megalodon is not alive anymore. And it's not really stories. It's really just the science. So the reason that it's believed the Megalodon went extinct due to several reasons many years ago. Many moons ago.
Big appetite.
Kind of.
Couldn't fill that appetite. Big tummy.
The first is the general planetary cooling of the Earth and the oceans changing. There was a drop from a lot of tropical ocean and warm, which led to mass loss of habitat. And prey also became a lot harder to find. Quote, scientists think that up to a third of the large mammals, including 43% of turtles and 35% of seabirds, became extinct as temperatures cooled and the number of organisms at the base of the food chain plummeted, resulting in an effect on the predators at the top, like the Megalodon.
So the scientists are saying that the top predators went extinct because they overconsumed.
They overconsumed, and also there's a big loss of food.
So that's an interesting theory that something at the top of a food chain could end up going extinct because it overconsumes.
Yeah. And also results in Megalodon's prey either going extinct also, or they potentially adapted to the cooler waters and moved where the sharks could not follow.
Mm-hmm. You know, some of us, right? Like I was
yes.
some of the.
I did catch the subtlety of it. Yes.
Okay. No DoorDash back then.
Can you imagine how lazy?
They're like $10 delivery fee. I'll just die.
Just who's delivering? The other shark.
The other shark.
Yeah.
They keep eating the fish delivering it. So then it's bad business.
Yeah. So I mean, it really makes sense. Like when the planet started to shift, that's when these sharks really started to become extinct, and they only really surfaced in like 2019 again when the movie came out.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when all these TikTok conspiracies came out, when they see these giant animals that they're not really understanding.
They were more down with Pangea. They liked Pangea.
Is that when that was? I don't know.
I don't know the years that was. I don't know.
This bitch don't know.
They're
about
not down
Pangea.
with the tectonic plate shifting. Why can't things stay the same?
I don't know. Pangea was wild because it's the big supercontinent. All the continents were together.
Yeah. And then they were like, they had a big breakup.
They did. They got divorced and they shifted. They drifted apart into what we know today. And we've got 7 parents now.
The lemurs had one really big party in Madagascar.
They never.
And then they broke up and they're like, all right, let's get out of here. And like, wait a minute.
Oh no,
We're stuck.
So, what would a BTB episode without a encounter?
A Reddit story about someone seeing the Megalodon.
This is not a Reddit story.
Oh, where's this from?
This is from a blog.
Okay. Is this for divers?
No, it's not for divers. No.
Okay.
No.
For divers, watch out for this shit. Let me tell you.
So, there's only been one known sighting that may have been the giant ancient shark, the Megalodon. So, this is from a sighting from 1918 from lobster fishermen. And the story comes from the blog from Max Hawthorne. And Max gives his own 2 cents, but we're not really going to talk about that. We're just going to talk about the encounter. He doesn't really buy it. This comes from a newspaper. So the encounter goes like this. Quote, in the year 1918, I recorded the sensations that have been caused among the outside crayfish men at Port Stevens. Now, for several days, they refused to go to sea with their regular fishing grounds in the vicinity of Broughton Island. The men had been at work fishing grounds, which lie in the deep waters, when the immense shark of almost unbelievable proportions put in an appearance, lifting pot after pot containing many crayfish and taking, as the men said, pots, mooring lines and all. These crayfish pots, it should be mentioned, were almost 3 feet 6 inches in diameter and frequently contained from 2 to 3 dozen good-sized crayfish each, weighing several pounds. These men were all unanimous that this shark was something like they never had dreamed of. In company of local fisherman inspector, I questioned many of the men very closely, and they all agreed as to the gigantic stature of the beast. The lengths they gave were on the whole absurd. I mentioned them, however, as an indication of the state of mind which this unusual giant had thrown them into. And bear in mind that these men who were used to the sea in all sorts of weather and all sorts of sharks as well. One of the crew said that the shark was 300 feet, 90 meters long at least. Others said it was as the wharf which they stood on, which was about 115 feet, 35 meters. They affirmed that the water boiled over this large space when the fish swam past. They were all familiar with the whales, which they had often seen passing at sea, but this was a vast shark. They had seen its terrible head, which was at least as long as the roof of the wharf shed on Nelson Bay. Impossible, of course, but these prosaic and rather solid men, not given to fish stories, or even talking about their catches. Further, they knew the person they were talking to, myself, had all heard the fish stories years before. One of the things that impressed me was that they all agreed on the ghostly whitishness color of the vast fish. The local fisherman inspector at the time, Mr. Patton, agreed with me that it must have been something really gigantic to put these experienced men into such a state of fear and panic. End quote. So that is the last of the story. We'll really have to talk about this for the scale because I don't know if this is enough to save it for me. It's an interesting story, but let's move into the discussion in the believability scale. So the Megalodon. This is a big old shark.
Big old shark. But also like it's big, but it's not like we're saying it's like 500 yards.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like we're saying it's that big. I mean, it's huge. Like the idea of it is huge, but it's not like I feel like the movie The Meg makes it look bigger than it is.
It is bigger than the movie. The movie has it 23 meters, and we know the largest is 18.
I guess it's not that far off.
It's not, but it's still bigger than the movie.
Well, of course it is.
It's like Texas. Everything's bigger in Texas.
All right, do me a favor. On your phone,
Yes.
Google percentage of ocean explored.
Oh,
Like 8?
5%.
Yeah. It's low.
Yes. 5%. That was 20. 5%.
Yeah, 5. I thought it was 8. So here's the thing. Nothing we talked about today pushes me towards the fact that it could be around.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't feel...
There was no really good evidence in this.
No, and I'm not letting you off the hook. I do want to know why you think the scientist is lying. We'll get to that when we get to your side of it. I'm not gonna quite list where I'm at on the scale, our believability scale from believable, viable, skeptical, unbelievable, but I'm going to not go unbelievable for that exact reason. 8% of the ocean is explored. That means 92% of it hasn't been by basic math standards. And
that's true. There's so much there that's empty that we just don't know.
That's what I was thinking about before. It's like, if you see a large shark, does that mean it has to be a megalodon? Like, there could be so much that we don't know exists, which could be big shark. It's like the last story you did. Who's to say in this vast ocean that one boat didn't randomly stumble upon a large shark that otherwise is very incredibly rare to see?
Yeah.
100 years ago.
Yeah.
So, I mean, not likely, very rare, but doesn't mean it couldn't happen.
Right. I do think it's interesting that people try to scrape together evidence for this. They pull images of like sharks and things that they don't really understand, and they even fake some of it too, honestly, and that's why it's so popular on TikTok. There's a lot of like videos like why Megalodon is still around, and they show these things that quite frankly are not truthful.
We're in the content creator phase of the internet.
Yes.
Where I don't mean everyone's being disingenuous, because some people are just trying to spark conversation like us. I mean, we are conversation sparkers. We're not out there. We're not dropping news on anything. Let me put that right. But some people, it's like the clickbaity titles and things like that.
Yeah.
So for the average person, like your example of, if you read 70% of the Joe Rogan story, you'd walk away and tell people at Thanksgiving dinner that Joe Rogan talked to somebody who said the Meg was real.
You wouldn't be able to give him a name, but you would be like, he talked to this guy, he worked for NASA, they went 30,000 feet into the sea, and that's all I got to.
Well, he has so many episodes, you'd be like, I don't know, he's on there. And
yeah,
nobody's gonna double check you. But that's the same reason I think the scientists would have done more to try to. I don't think the scientists would have discounted themselves, because if you discover Megalodon, you're famous.
Can I be real honest? I was, at this point when I was researching this, I was a little frustrated.
You needed something.
The emotions of seeing this got the better of me. I was like, these motherfuckers are lying about this shark. And it looks like a shark. It doesn't really look that much like a shark.
Well,
you could see you could see where it's like not quite right. And I was a little upset. And I brought that into this under the idea that maybe it's real. So reality, it probably is just a school of mackerel.
So there's that in the Joe Rogan story. What were the first two? What were the other? What was the evidence for?
The first two are the two TikToks, which one is probably just a Greenland shark, and the other one is the satellite image of the shark near the Antarctic. Okay. But we know that Megalodon was known to be a tropical fish, so that's a little strange.
Man, this isn't good. This is not good.
No, these are a lot of...
It's not good.
And the other one is, there's a picture I actually wanted to show you. Can I pull that up really quick?
Yeah.
So this is from that documentary.
The 2013 one?
Yeah. Oh, this is the whale. Do you want to see it? It's a little gross.
Yeah, okay. With the intestines out?
Yeah.
I watch horror movies, man. We're good.
So this is the one that people claim are 70 foot long Megalodon. This was in the documentary as well.
I have no... Is that a boat? No. I have no frame of reference. It's a big shark.
It is a big shark.
It's a big shark, but I don't...
I think there's a zoomed out more version of that as well I could find.
It's just, it's difficult to... Perspective is such a hard thing. And we joke about it all the time, where people see UFOs and they're like, it was about 40 feet. It's like,
So this is a little more zoomed out. It's like on a boat. Like I think it's a cruise ship.
Okay. It's still difficult perspective-wise. I mean, it's big, but...
Yeah. It also could be a whale shark or something.
Yeah.
It could be another type of shark. I know they're not. I think they're about as big as that. Now, they are harmless to humans. They don't eat people. They filter feed.
That guy looks pretty harmless.
He might be.
So, hey, guys, enjoying the cruise? Any food you can throw over? Any shrimp?
They would love that. Now, I do have some questions that, even though we haven't explored a lot of the ocean, there are some thoughts. Now, why haven't we found whales with modern gashes in their bones? We used to find fossils of that. Why aren't there any modern ones?
Well, how often were we even finding... Well, I don't expect you to know this answer. My response would be, how often were we even finding fossils back then? Like, was it rare even back then? Because if it was common back then that's a really good point. If it was rare...
I mean, they're on record to have shown whale bones with gashes. I don't know.
I'm not in the corner of it's totally real. So you don't have to press me. These are your pre-written questions. So I understand.
They are, yeah.
I don't know.
And then also big question, same as Sasquatch, same as any other big cryptid we don't know. Where's the body?
Well, I think land is more explored than the ocean. So
Absolutely, yeah.
I actually think Megalodon has better case than Bigfoot.
For sure.
But all right, let's do it. We instead of just taking information and spinning it, let's create our own. Megalodon is interdimensional. We have our first interdimensional shark.
Oh, okay. Was it just using the power of its teeth?
Bigfoot rides the Megalodon in a different dimension.
I would see that movie. I would watch that movie.
Bigfoot riding Megalodons.
That's what it's called. Actually, that could be a dirty movie.
Sponsored by Dr. Squatch. yeah, in the shower. So the Bigfoot, yeah, I feel like land, but even so, it's the world is small until you put your phone down and you walk outside, in my opinion. But also there's satellites, and I understand there's things like that, but
there's just so much unexplored that it's almost impossible to be like, maybe there's a place that they go that we just can't get to.
Unless the theory is that, yes, a lot of it is unexplored, but with imaging that we have, a lot of the undetected or unknown species are small, and they would notice something that big moving, even if it's... I don't even know what unexplored means. Like, does that mean we have no record of it? Does it mean we physically haven't been there? Does that mean we can't catch by satellite imaging? I don't know.
At this point, it's hard, right? Because we could, in theory, just send a satellite or a robot or something.
You know what we should do? Let's just explore the ocean.
Oh, yeah. That won't take any funding at all.
I've seen one of those like creepy Twitter accounts where they try to be all mysterious.
Oh, yeah.
And they're like, why are humans more interested in exploring... scientists. They said scientists. Why are scientists more interested in exploring space than the ocean?
Yeah.
What have they found that they're not interested in pursuing? ...
It's an interesting question.
I don't know. I don't know either. I think there's a natural fear associated with the ocean. Obviously, that's not the case for everyone, but like, I don't know. It's weird to think that 92% of that is unexplored and it's here. It's our home. We don't know.
I think... I don't know. It's just, they're both like somehow so mysterious. Like you look up, you see the stars. It's like, what is up there? But you look down too, and you see the waves.
But they could find the Titanic, I guess, because you know, like the path. So
yeah,
you know where to look.
You know the route.
The route. Yeah. There's like a weird, like, if you were on a boat and you dropped something in the ocean, does it give you a weird feeling? Yeah. Like it's gone forever. It's you don't know where it's gonna go. It's kind of hits me in the same way as kites, but not in a height sense. It's like gone. I don't know. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, I'm afraid of kites. My fear of kites somehow it ties into my fear of heights and kites. But there is something about like there's something weird. Like if you had a toy or like a watch. Or like, you know, you drop in the ocean,
even just a rock,
and it's just gone. It's just like this weird, like it's sinking.
Well, there was a trend on it was like TikTok or something. It was like, I drop this rock, and it's like I'm the last person that's ever going to touch this rock.
Yeah. That you know of. The mer people are like, oh, a rock
just lands right in their hand.
This is dope. I know they're like, keep throwing the rings out here, guys. Like this is awesome.
Yeah, but yeah, that's the evidence of the Megalodon. It's TikTok conspiracy.
So where do you rate? On the believability scale, believable, viable, skeptical, unbelievable, where do you rate the Meg?
You're right. There's only 5% of the ocean that's been discovered.
8.
It said 5.
I thought it was 8.
You said
it. No, wait. I said 8?
You said 8.
I've been saying 5. This wrong the whole time. It's 95.
I told you it was 5.
I've been saying 92. Damn it. All right, guys. Now, this is the Joe Rogan thing. It's like this whole time I've been saying 92, and you're all like, oh, Tyler, now you got to get to the end of it. You got to watch the whole damn thing. It was 95.
Yeah.
Damn it.
Because of that, I can't go completely unbelievable, but there's not a lot of strong evidence. I'm going to go skeptical.
Yeah, I'm skeptical as well. It's could be, but maybe unlikely.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of Believing the Bizarre, the Megalodon.
The Megalodon.
Such a cool concept. Giant sharks.
I'm kind of bummed that there wasn't more. And this obviously not you. It's on all of us. We should all be ashamed that we don't have more evidence that the Megalodon is real.
Yeah, well, you got to get down there with the ocean and just James Cameron.
Why didn't they say the Megalodon? I think they're all just sleeping. And it's just like at one point where they're going to be like, is there an earthquake? An earthquake just happened. Like, no, what is all that motion? And it's just like 500,000 megalodons are all going to wake up at the same time.
That is a really terrifying thought, actually.
Well, we're fine here.
Well, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, we're good. We're all right.
Actually, I hope it happens now. Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be pretty dope.
Yeah.
Heard it here first. But it's one of those things where it's like, we can't say it's not there. But it could be.
Yeah, it's true.
But it's also totally fair to be like, probably not.
Yeah. Yeah. This is how it is. The evidence just isn't that strong. But it was a fun episode. And if you enjoyed this episode, please go ahead on Apple and leave 5 stars and leave a comment for the whole thing that says something like, I don't know, that was a good show. It made me happy. But if you're listening on Spotify, which you probably are, you can go ahead and leave a comment on this episode.
Every single episode. I'm just going to go off. I'm going to go off the top of my head. I'm going to read from my memory 10 comments from our last episode. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Happy birthday, Charlie. 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 Happy B-Day, Charlie. Happy birthday, Charlie. Happy belated birthday, Charlie. I'm listening on Charlie's birthday. Happy birthday, Charlie.
I like that a lot. It's good. Someone said, may your candles and your cake burn the villages in your wake.
Yeah, it's pretty dope.
That's awesome.
Charlie's going to get that tattooed on him.
It was mostly happy birthday wishes, and I appreciate that more than you guys know, really.
Were there any comments that weren't about your birthday?
No. There was one, actually. There was one. So this is referring to the UAP coverage and what's her name? The lady who got abducted?
Amy?
Yeah.
Amy
Ryland.
Rylance.
Yeah. So they said, Blue Mountain crew said, the secret programming isn't the government taking advantage of the public. It's a private group taking advantage of the government. Which I was like, damn, that's a good comment. That should be like sewn into a pillow. Sound like a throw pillow?
Yeah,
that's a good comment.
Rest your head on it. Those pillows are on uncomfortable furniture. And that's just a fact.
Yeah.
It's like, let me buy this chair that no one's ever going to sit in. And when they do, they're going to immediately regret it.
That was like the only comment that was, but it's very thought provoking. Thank you for giving it to us.
And thank you everybody who wished Charlie a happy birthday. Birthday and Christmas within like a month. How exciting.
It's fine.
I'm excited to give you your Christmas gift this year.
Oh, really?
Uh-huh.
Oh, I'm not excited. I know I'm going to get you, but I'm not excited about it.
I'm pretty excited.
That's awesome.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much for listening. We appreciate you. As always, I'm Tyler.
And I'm Charlie.
And catch us next week on Believing the Bizarre.
The podcast is bizarre as you are.